Hello, Renee Jane here. So grateful to be here on live. Oh my goodness, hello. Okay, so just want to make sure we got the camera situated. Good. I'm talking today, I'm going to try to make this short. I just did a live on Instagram. It's a little longer, so if you want to tune in more on this topic, you can head over there too. But this topic, to me, feels so important right now as we go into the new year. It's on the topic of integrating our shadow. And most importantly, I have been living with doing shadow work for many years. And I have really focused in on it this past year in a way that I never even knew was possible. And so I just want to put out there, hi, Crystal. Yay. Welcome, everybody who's live. So good to see you. That in my opinion anyway, shadow work is not something like a one and done, like, okay, I did it and I don't ever have to do this again. Good morning. But it is something that's so necessary. So as we go into this year, so many of us set goals and intentions. I have them myself, and I just want to reinforce for me and for everyone who's needing to hear this message today, how important it is to really understand and look at the shadow behind whatever it is that we have goals and intentions for. So what I want to do today is I'm going to go through, I think it's 5 areas: body, food, money, our relationships. I think that's 4. Let's see, 1, 2, and career. And I want to talk about some key integrations that maybe will help drop a seed into your consciousness and help you see things slightly different and look at whatever it is that you need to look at. The thing is, hello, Jess. Hi. So glad you're here. The big thing about our shadow is that it's unique, right? So my shadow is not like your shadow. And many people give the shadow this bad rap. We almost look at our shadow as like, this is the bad part of us, and then the light is the good part. And that couldn't be so far from the truth. It's not true at all. The shadow holds within it our unique brilliance. It holds the part of us that's like magical and not only unique, but that has like skills or wizardry, or like I just watched Harry Potter last night, so the wizard world is in my brain. But it holds our unique genius, our voice, it holds our beauty. And what happens is that through life, through living in the world we live in, we often repress these parts of ourselves. And it's not that we just repress these parts, but we repress the emotions, we repress the impulses, we repress the unacceptable behaviors that people have told us are not cool or not acceptable in this culture. And so it's not so much that it's because it's hidden or this mystery, it's because we have taken a lot of effort to repress this part of us. And I think that's the most important thing before I get into the integrations that I want to share, is how much effort it takes for us to keep our shadow repressed. It takes not only a lot of effort, but it takes a lot of pain sometimes, because we'll find that we're in the same struggles. We'll find that we have patterns. Patterns are things that we notice are repeating over and over again. And this was the case for me. I bet if you could think about an area of your life, I'm certain we all have fantastic areas of our life. I do too. But if there's 1, maybe 2 areas of your life where you've noticed have been a struggle for a really long period of time, or that you get so far and then you hit kind of like a wall or a block, and it just, you're not getting past it, then this is the area to look at for your shadow. And I'm going to share briefly how this plays out, but I do also want to recommend that we don't look at this area as just like a quick fix, because it is something that we can continue the exploration of. And I know that's not exciting to a lot of people. Hello, everyone. I see more joining live. But, our culture is all about the quick fix. And I don't know about you, but when I look around, I don't see that being possible anymore. I know we need to go deep, and the shadow aspect of us is where our power lives, and not the power in any negative connotation, but if you just think about if your shadow contains great power, not simply because there's a lot trapped in there, but mostly because of how much energy it's taken for us to ignore these parts of ourselves, to ignore the voice that wants to speak out more and doesn't, to ignore and repress the part of us that wants to be seen and hides and isolates, the part of us that wants to build something or do something or live for something that we haven't lived for yet, right? So when we see people externally in the world that trigger us or that agitate us, or that bother us or trigger us, whatever this is a really good indication that there's something about that person that is pointing or picking at our shadow, and that's a good way for us to start to do this work as well. Okay, so let's go through some of the examples, and I'm going to start with the body, and this is a big one. So the body, by the way, could be any goal or desire that you have with your body this year. It might be that you want to have six-pack abs, you might lose weight, it might be something completely unrelated to the external. It might be more of, I want to reduce inflammation and feel more at peace in my body. I want to feel free when I'm in my body, whatever that is for you. And so if we look at this shadow piece here, is that if I want to feel free, or if I want to accept myself within my body, then that means that I need to be willing to be seen fully. And if I'm willing to be seen fully and completely, like without my armor on, naked, and I don't mean like physically naked, I mean like the veils have come off. You are seeing all the aspects of me that I might deem unworthy or acceptable or whatever. So if I'm seen fully, completely, then you could reject me. You could reject me, you could abandon me, you could leave. And so for this one, excuse me, we don't often necessarily see it, but when people are stuck with issues with their body, it's often, and I want to say often because everyone's different here, I'm just giving you some examples to help drop into your consciousness different ways to see this, that it's often because there's a fear of being seen fully. And if we're seen fully, then that means that we could have to face our rejection. And so this is where the shadow work comes in, is where in our shadow do we need to go into where we've been rejected? And if that's the case, maybe it's a fear of abandonment. And if that's the case, then where is our self-worth? And so we follow this down. And I have a course, I think I mentioned this, but this is my second video on this, so I can't remember. Sorry, but I have a course on this that I'll share more about. You can send me a message if you want to know more information. Okay, the other one about the body is if I am wanting to look how I want to look, or in order to look how I want to look, then that means I might have to sacrifice something. And so it's this idea that in order to get what I want, I have to sacrifice. And this is a really big one, because what you'll notice about shadow work is that it's like a conundrum where they butt up against each other. It's a dilemma that in order to get what I want, I have to either face my biggest fear, or if I get what I want, I'm going to have to sacrifice the thing that I want. And it doesn't work. And that's why we're not moving forward. That's why the thing we want is no longer in alignment, because we're stuck. And so what this means is if we give up, in order to look how we want, if we have to sacrifice, if this is our belief, then that means that we're giving up something that makes us happy. And this is where we get stuck, because we're like, wait a minute, I want to be happy, but I have to give up what makes me happy? I don't understand. And then we don't move forward. And I don't want that to happen to us, because so many of us have big dreams. I know I do too. And we have to look at, okay, well, what ultimately, this is the shadow here, what ultimately makes me happy? And sometimes we're so focused on our body changing and fixing the thing, we're so focused on that thing for so long, then we have forgotten to open up the infinite possibilities of all the other ways that make us happy. And there's a lot of ways that can make you genuinely sourced and happy. Okay, I'm looking over here because I have these written down. Okay, so relationship is the next one. And this one is certainly romantic relationships, but it could be anything. It could be a relationship with a parent, it could be a relationship with a child, it could be a relationship with money, or even your relationship with food itself. I mean, so there's a lot of ways to look at this one. But this one would be, if I show you all of me, because really what we want in relationship, whether we realize it or not, is we want depth, we want intimacy, we want to be fully seen and in connection. So if I show you all of me, then you could reject me, you could leave me. And if we want that depth and intimacy, then what means is that we also will find our shadow comes in and we will avoid the very thing that we want. So for example, we want depth and intimacy, and yet we have over here perhaps a fear of intimacy. And so we stay in this block of avoidance of I'm going to be close, but I'm not going to get too close, because if I'm too close and I'm too exposed and I'm too seen and I'm too intimate, then you could actually reject me and eat me alive. Not literally, but it would feel like that kind of fear. Okay, the next one I want to go into is money. So money has been a big one for me to look at as I grow my business, as I evolve as a human being, as an entrepreneur. And one of the big ones for me is gotten clear, probably, I don't know how many years ago I got this, but I got a different iteration of it this year. The more money I make, the more I need to work. This is the old belief and old paradigm, which is actually wrong, but it is an old belief system. And then that means the more I work, the less freedom I have. And so for me, freedom's the big value. I don't know if you share this one or not, but if I have freedom as a value, and then I have a belief that the more I work, that the less freedom I have, then they butt up against each other. And so for me, what came up this year is I feared that if I worked more, I'd have less time with my son. And if I worked more, I'd have less time with myself, less presence, less regulation with myself. And so I had to really go into the shadow and look at my relationship with time, my relationship with work, how I manage my time, my beliefs around money and receiving. There was so much here that was a really, really big deal. Okay, so let's go into the next one. This one's career. The more I'm seen, the more I will be judged. And I'd say this is a big one because whatever career you have, we ultimately want some kind of feedback loop, right? That I am valuable in what I'm doing, that I'm loved, I'm appreciated, and the services that I'm putting forth, that they feel good, right? And so sometimes we don't say things that we want to express because we're afraid we'll be judged, or we're afraid we'll be fired or something like that. But then there's other times where we want more. We want a desire of a promotion, or we want to do bigger things in the world, or we want something that's not happening yet. And so we're afraid that if we step in and we be our full expressed self, we're fully seen, that we'll be completely judged. And the root of this one, I want to get right to it because I think it's important for all of us, is the root is, can you be in a more regulated place in your nervous system while you're being judged, while you're being seen? This is where we get to the shadow work, is because we start to see that we haven't maybe gotten the tools to know how to regulate our system when we're being judged or seen, fully judged. And I mean judged because everyone gets judged. No one's immune to that in this world. In fact, I believe the more you are seen, the more you are judged. So we have to find some acceptance with that. And this is where the dilemma butts up against each other, for lack of a better word. Okay, the final one I want to share is around food. I think this is a big one, especially this time of year. So the idea is that I might want to eat clean. I want to eat healthy, but I refuse to sacrifice my freedom and food pleasure, right? So the belief might be that eating healthy is boring. The other belief might be that our root shadow here is that there's an attachment to food being our source of pleasure and intimacy. And this is a big one for the shadow for a lot of people. This shadow work is what I specialize in. I'd say it's a thing that I do for a lot of people, because what we tend to do is we tend to associate from childhood that food is our source of pleasure. Food is related to our most intimate self. And so we have to start to do the shadow work around other forms of pleasure, other forms of receiving, other forms of intimacy. And we won't be able to get to the other side of our relationship with food unless we do the shadow work there. Okay, so I hope this was of high service to you. And again, I hope it allows you to realize, as I do with myself, this is for all of us, that when we know our shadow and the brilliance that exists within it, then allows us to hold our whole self. And as we go into this new year, that's my intention for us, is to hold more of ourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. All of it's powerful, all of it's good. So that way we can be even more in alignment with what we're here to do. And if you need more support from me, I mentioned I do have a course on shadow work. It's a self-study, but it also can be upgraded to a Voxer support, so you can chat with me throughout. And then I also have one-on-one coaching options available. Just send me a direct message if it feels aligned to you, and I can send you the links to register or more details. All right, I hope you're all well. Sending you love. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.